Hello folks, and welcome back to the meadow. You see I've been working and not cleaning, but it's gonna have a whole week of dry weather. But we got the roof on and we got everything all done, all the tubing you can see. See this tube on the end here, and then there's a flow line, and let me explain my theory. The entire roof has these ribs in it, and I want to keep this bottom tube filled with water, and when it gets hot it should create, well, it will create water vapor very easily and go up to the top, and there'll be another tube like this. I didn't have the right size, but I'm going to get it Monday, and then it'll go across and collect the vapor. And then I want to take that vapor and run it through Stirling engines to create the heat energy into mechanical energy, and then into electrical energy to generate. And there will be a battery pack in the back of the greenhouse. But I always was curious with thermal siphon, because it should basically run by itself. And in order to see if it's going to work, I happen to have a flow indicator. See, there's two tubes inside there, and that will basically, one will remove the heat and condense it, and then it'll fall back the same vapor. It'll go through, and then I'll see if it's running. But down here in this area I need to build a box. In order to create a thermal siphon, you have to have an air vapor. So there'll be a check valve here and a box full of liquid, and every time that level goes down, that it will want to fill that back up. But when this gets hot, it can't push it this way. The only way the vapor can go is up, and that'll get hotter. And I'm hoping as that water turns to vapor that it will release the coldness inside of it and fall down into the greenhouse. Probably not right, but I've always been curious about it, and with the model I can prove it out. So that's kind of why I've taken a little while. I still got some, there's a corner there that's messed up, but what I'm going to do now. Hello folks, and welcome back to the meadow. Got a model update of the Nutrition Oasis. I got all the piping done. As you can see, there's a lot of large piping, but look at these corners that I made. Oh my goodness, those will seal up nice. Everything's just kind of tacked together. I'll take everything apart, and then there's tubings. These tubings on the top, as you can look down through here, these are algae tubes, and they'll process vapor off the composter and the worm composter, and they'll also process fish waste. And then these tubes that go down in the gussets, see them down in the gussets there, you can kind of, I need to make sure I'm not all herky-jerky on you guys. They go all the way around the outside of the greenhouse except for the back wall. And you see all the little marks? I have close to 100 holes to drill, 1/2 inch, like this one right here. And thank goodness I came up with an ingenious way to hold this pipe by using just rebar wire in the drill press and putting it in the little X's, and I don't even have to pull it out. I can just drill and move it on, but you have to go really slow because that. And then to cut the little 1/2 inch pieces, I had bought this saw and never used it for much, but it works perfect to cut these, because that saw is just too big. When you get done cutting them, they go 75 feet in the air. So, but this one you can hold them on both sides, and it's much safer. So my insurance guy wants me to take pictures of all my tools. I'm going to have them all out before I'm done here, so I'll have to do a video and label them or something. But anyways, it'll all make sense once I get it all put together and do the process video. So now I gotta take parts of it apart to drill the holes. A lot of the holes I can drill without. I've got panel down on the door here that I have to take out anyway, so I kind of plan that. And then see that one cracked over there, so if I have to take that panel out to fix that, I can pull that tube, so I won't be destroying it. But anyways, I got really good at cutting this acrylic, but boy, you got to do it really slow. You pretty much melt it. You don't really cut it. But if you go too fast, it just explodes. But anyways, that's why this will grow. It'll grow in that tube, in this tube down here, underneath that. That will be like beans and tomatoes all the way around the greenhouse, and then strawberries along here, because this will be a work area. You don't want anything that's going to hang down too far. This is 8 feet tall in the real greenhouse. So, and anyways, and then down along here you can have cucumbers, you can have anything that hangs in these. And then in these tubes here, the back 2 rows would be melons, and you let them fall down, and then they can rest on the composter. And then the next 2 rows would be for peppers and squash, anything, eggplant. And then the bottom 2 rows, something that you would pick more frequently, would be kale and spinach and lettuces and things like that. And then all the water cascades from one tube to the other, all the way down through, and it ends up in the bed. And then the bed is where you have all your root crops, your radishes and your beets and turnips and sweet potatoes. I don't think you can grow regular potatoes like this, but you'll be able to grow a lot of different things. But anyways, I have some great ideas, and hopefully we'll get membership on our Patreon page, and people can work together to figure this out. But the whole concept of it is to try to make algae for the fish, make worms of the fish, and you probably have to bring in some food, but you want to minimize that. You want to try to keep all the carbon and nitrogen and protein in the greenhouse. You don't want to let it exit. And then economy of space. I see so many people build big beautiful greenhouses like that, and they got a table with chairs and a place to set plants and all that. I'm trying to use every cubic foot for some purpose. There will be more stuff that actually goes up in the rafters here before I'm done, but I want to try to completely utilize this space, try to control the temperature of it, the humidity of it, and see if it'll not only create a lot of fruit and vegetables, but create energy. So what the heck, stranger things have happened. So anyways, I hope you folks enjoyed this little update, and if I get on a roll, I should get those holes drilled today, and then it'll be done. So, and then I got to disassemble it piece by piece. I'm gonna label and mark every piece and sand it and make it pretty and put it back together, and that'll be easier than what I just did, because I just had to figure it out as I went along how each piece was. But now that they're all cut, and I'll take all these screws out and fill those in with caulking and make this nice and smooth so it's pretty. And then there'll be ribbon lighting underneath here that goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, so it lights down on the plants, but it also lights up on the algae. So anyways, I'll catch up with you next one. Thanks. Hello folks, and welcome back to the meadow. Here's the update on the model. It is pretty much done. You can see I drilled a lot of holes. That's how you can see that best. I'll look it from the front, but all the way down the sides, all the way down that side. That's where the tomatoes and beans and stuff like that, peas, and along the front. Now the algae tubes, they just have a couple drains in them, so they'll be when I take it apart. But you can see how all that is right there. Bottom 2 rows for lettuce and kale and spinach and stuff you pick. The next 2 rows, squash, peppers, eggplant. In the top 2 rows, all different kinds of watermelon and cantaloupe and stuff like that. So anyways, I will show you how I drilled all this stuff. I used my drill press, And then I took wire and I wired each one of them down. I'll make a video about that tomorrow, but I don't like to make videos when I'm working. As you can see, this little saw here cuts the small tubing really well. The big chop saw just blows it up, but it cuts it pretty good. See what the chop saw does to it. So, and I had this roll of tubing and that's all I had left. And I cut all of these with a 45, and you can see as you go across the bottom. What I wanted to do was make sure that they didn't go all the way to the bottom, because they'll be sealed in with silicone. And I wanted a place for the roots to come out, but I also put them in to the flow, so the flow is going to go that way. And it'll go down to here, and then it'll drop out of these tubes. And over to here, I need to put a crossover. Then there'll be crossovers that go down here, 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 and here to get that down into the growing bed in the bottom. So, very, very good use of space. And then, of course, you have the worm composter down underneath. And there'll be a large garbage disposal right here to chew everything up to feed them. And then I have a distribution idea how to get the worms out and back into the fish tank. So that's top secret. But anyways, we need to be able to manage the worms and try to feed as many and keep our fish food needs down. So okay, so tomorrow I will take it apart and measure it all up and make up a nice list over here on the board. And if anybody wants to build one, this would be really good. You could grow, I grew bean sprouts in these little tubes, and you can grow any kind of barley sprouts down in that grow bed, or you could grow wheat sprouts, wheat grass, anything like that would grow like crazy in here. But and you'd grow, of course the algae gets fed to the fish. But anyways, we'll get her all sealed up and squared up in the next few days and repainted and all cleaned up for our big presentation. So okay folks, I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm exhausted. See you in a few more days, hopefully when I get it all prettied up. So take care.